Hello dear community, welcome. For those not familiar, I'm Bree, a Paranormal Abilities Qigong teacher. Zhineng Qigong is a practice founded on training the full functions of consciousness, accessing a truer, deeper state that opens to possibilities that are not limited by time, distance, and physical matter. Here on the channel, I share my discoveries and talk openly about them, normalizing them, so humanity can open their minds and hearts to what is possible and how powerful we truly are. If you appreciate the channel, please do subscribe. It supports it to continue and grow. So the topic for this video is moving object with mind. I've just used this terminology to keep it simple. Depending on your own tradition and terminology, you could start dissecting and analyzing and saying, well, it's not mind-moving object, it's consciousness combining with qi, and we could go on, and things could get complicated. I'm just using a broad term to include the general population. My intention is to unite people, not to divide with concepts and belief systems. I want to share something interesting that's been happening. I've been noticing objects around me move that I haven't been practicing on. Actually, I haven't been giving them any attention at all. It's just by surprise that I catch it at the corner of my eye, or I just notice it by surprise. Just tiny movements, not extreme movements, but enough to question it. And it's been happening enough for me to know that it's not the logical reason that I have been applying to it. Sometimes, as we know, objects sitting against each other can apply pressure, build up some pressure and slightly fall or move. Plants, one thing is this plant moves regularly. Plants do move naturally, especially little plants growing, they move as they grow. So I'm not talking about this type of phenomenon. I'm talking about some paranormal activity that I've noticed just a bit too much, too out of character to fall in that standard category, that I mentioned it to my colleague that I practice paranormal abilities with each week. And I asked her, has she noticed anything? And she agreed, yes. There are times that she's noticed her mobile phone, for example, shift slightly. It was actually this diary and pen that I saw last week. I was practicing over here. The diary was further away from me and the pen was sitting on top of it. No one else was in the house, so it couldn't have been, the vibration on the floor. Nothing was open because I was practicing move object with mind, so everything's closed so that I don't have drafts or breeze coming through. And it was very undeniable that the pen, not like it rolled off the page or anything, but it was more than just something that you could say, oh, it's just pressure building up between objects and there's a slight movement. It was more than that. And because I had been noticing it over the last several weeks, it was enough confirmation for me to question my colleague, are you noticing this too? Now, what this brought to mind is a lecture that I have read by Grandmaster Pang, who is the teacher of Zhineng Qigong, founded on paranormal abilities. He is a living expression of that. He said, when you're training and things are opening up, it's often that when you want it to happen, it doesn't happen. For example, I am focusing and intending for this paper to knock down with the mind, not with the hand or the breath. However, the pen over here moves, or often this leaf will do a big, sudden, uncharacteristic of its natural environment to do a big movement. Or sometimes I'm intending on one of the objects to move and I'm not getting success with it, and the other object will move next to it. So at the beginning, as we're training this sense, this ability, it is common that these unusual things happen. Another example that Dr. Pang gave is it could be you're not practicing at all, you're just having a conversation to somebody. Having a conversation, and all of a sudden it comes into your mind, you just think of a clock stopping, and then you turn and you see a clock stopped. So exploring this way of life, when you start turning on your functions, it's very interesting, fascinating to take notice, because the real practice is the daily life, the inner life, the transformation to the true self. You may wonder, do I have any fear that it's out of my control, that things are moving around me? I don't have any fear, because I'm aware that the inner space is like the remote control button of the external space. And although I'm talking about it not being so accurate, because I'm baby stepping through this paranormal realm, I know that if my heart is good and clear and honest, I'm not going to set myself up for harm and danger. That harm and danger is not going to be reflected back to me. So I don't have any fear at all. My heart is very light and clear. These are just little subtle things. And you know, maybe they're going on around you, but that subtlety of perception and noticing that I'm developing through these practices, if you're also practicing, you may be developing that too, and start to notice things around you. We don't want to fool ourselves. We don't want to bring it on and make it happen. Just noticing, because at the end of the day, that's the whole key. Being an observer, observing the movements, observing the intentions, so that we can consciously apply them and consciously not apply the ones that we don't want to happen around us or for others. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced anything like this. It's a really interesting phase to explore, and it's great to have community, to explore together, grow together, confirm with each other, encourage and inspire each other. So use the comment space. Let me know how you're going with your practices and your observations in your daily life. All the very best. Haula.